Good day, everyone. This is Coach Reese coming at you with another great video. I'm hoping all is well with you and your family and that you're enjoying your day. The title of today's video is How to Be a Comedian. How to Be a Comedian. And young people, I feel that this video is very important because, if you have the gift of making people laugh, I feel that that's awesome. And if you feel that you want to pursue being a comedian as a career, I hope that this video will, give you some good information on how to be a comedian, so like I say, I'm with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I have some notes today. I'm quite sure that you young people, if you've been viewing several of my videos, you notice that I write my stuff down, and I do that with a specific purpose because I just find it easier to write my ideas down on paper. I believe I'm more of a writer than going off notes or whatever. So, but just today, young people, I hope and pray that you guys just bear with me as I go through the process of, you know, hopefully helping you guys become great comedians. And I hope that this advice will help you, like I say, in the long run and be a tremendous benefit to you. Okay. My first point is this. Um, if you want to be a comedian, I encourage you guys to do your research on the different schools that you can go to, to learn how to be a comedian. I couldn't believe this, but there are schools out there where, you can, like, I guess it's like a regular class or whatever. And you just go there, obviously you have to, register and pay your tuition and all that. But once you do all that, you can sign up for the class and, learn how to be a comedian. Now, I think that that's awesome that you can learn how to be a comedian, but I feel that there's far more other things that you need to do in order to be a good comedian. And like I say in this video, I'm going to explain a few of them. One of the things that you can do, young people, to be a good comedian, you have to study the great comedians that came before you, you know. And so, like I say, you need to study the great comedians that came before you. So, like I have on my notes, I have two very important comedians, in my opinion, that can help you tremendously. And one of those comedians is Bill Cosby, right? Bill Cosby, I think he started out doing stand-up comedy. I have a few of his CDs in my collection of where he did, stand-up comedy. But Bill Cosby eventually progressed into, making TV shows. Like when I was a young man, I think in grade school, he had this show called The Cosby Show. And I really look forward to, looking at that show because, Bill Cosby is just a naturally funny guy. He's very entertaining, you know, and, his type of comedy is the type of comedy that you can have, family and friends of all ages, you don't have to restrict any family member from watching Bill Cosby because, all of his material is family material oriented. So, I feel that Bill Cosby is not only very entertaining, but he's, also has a very special way of presenting his, comedy and acting skills to the public. And I think it's awesome. Now, Bill Cosby, in the course of him being on a show called The Cosby Show, I believe it was back in the 80s, there was another show that was kind of connected to The Cosby Show, if I'm not mistaken. But the name of that show was called The Different World. Was called A Different World, I should say. And that show was about, college kids, that enrolled in school, and it televised the different things that college kids experience, while attending school. And like I say, that particular show was very informative, and I believe it was an inspiration to a lot of young people at that time, you know, and, that show covered some very good topics. And, it was a very good, entertaining show. Like I say, uh, for the most part, if I can remember correctly, it televised college kids in a positive manner. And if they didn't present the children or the young people in a positive manner, that particular show was used as a learning tool. Like I say, I think there were periods where they addressed very sensitive topics, but they presented it in a very good way to where you can learn from it and hopefully, open your eyes to, the different things that people go through in that particular situation. So, I feel that, like I say, the Bill Cosby was an awesome comedian. He was an awesome actor and entertainer. And like I say, he had this show that was connected to the Cosby Show called A Different World. Like I say, and I already explained, the meaning behind that particular show. But in the show A Different World, there was a comedian or a comedian actor, if you will, and his name was Sinbad, right? And Sinbad was a very good actor in that show called A Different World. But before Sinbad came on A Different World, I believe he was a stand-up comedian. And I also liked his style of being a comedian because he from the videos, the comedian, the stand-up videos that I saw of Sinbad, I didn't, is in other words, so there's no reason to restrict any family members or friends from watching Sinbad, because from all the videos I saw of him doing his stand-up, his stand-up was entertaining, could be entertaining for the entire family. So, but like I say, I really enjoy those two comedians, young people, and I encourage you all to do your research on those particular comedians if you desire to be a comedian. So, because I feel that those two comedians are very important for you to learn how to be a good comedian. So, in other words, I want to say this, young people: if you want to be great in anything, it's very important that you study great people that have been very successful in that particular field of study that you desire. So it's very important that you do that. If you want to be great, young people, you have to study greatness. And I feel that that will, lead you on a great path to success. Okay, young people, I'm gonna go ahead and make this subject, this comedian subject, into two parts because I see that I'm over 8 minutes here. So I'm gonna go ahead into my conclusion of this part one series. And in all my videos, young people, I touch on 3 points on wisdom. I touch on one statement. I touch on a statement dealing with critical thinking, and then I have an ending statement of practice. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get started on my 3 points on wisdom. Point number one: wise people are good listeners. Wise people are good listeners. Point number two: wise people have a thirst or desire to learn good knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Young people, point number two is extremely important. Wise people have the thirst or desire to learn good knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Point number three: wise people have the courage to teach their wisdom. Wise people have the courage to teach their wisdom. So, young people, I encourage you all to do your research on wisdom. And I hope and pray that you all will pursue wisdom with the utmost seriousness. Young people, if you pursue wisdom with the utmost seriousness, the better off you'll be, and it will benefit you in the long run. I have a statement dealing with critical thinking, and it goes like this. Always be a critical thinker, young people, especially when making big decisions. Always be a critical thinker, young people, especially when making big decisions. So, young people, I encourage you all to do your research on the topic of critical thinking. And I also encourage you, young people, to talk to your parents or guardians about the subject of critical thinking. And your parents or guardians will help you navigate the differences between making big decisions and minor decisions. And young people, this is just my humble opinion. The sooner you become a critical thinker, the better off you'll be, and it will benefit you in the long run. I have an ending statement of practice, and it goes like this. I love you. I want the best for you. I want you to practice using love and wisdom in all that you do. Life is a game that you must learn how to play. Practicing love and wisdom with your family, friends, and loved ones creates a powerful team. Love conquers all, young people, even if you feel defeated. So I encourage you to keep loving and keep growing and gaining in wisdom, and God will bless you in a mighty way. Young people, I encourage you all to hit the thumbs up on this video. I encourage you all to share this video with family, friends, and loved ones. And I encourage you all to subscribe to my channel. At the end of the day, young people, I want you to accomplish all your goals and dreams in life. As long as it is productive, I support you 110%. And also, young people, it's very important that you be the best person that you can be every day of your life. That is absolutely very important that you do that. I have one more nugget of wisdom before I officially conclude this video, and it goes like this. Don't ever think that you're better than anyone else, but rather, young people, think of yourself as just as good as anyone else. Humility is a vital key to successful life. I also hope and pray that you apply that nugget of wisdom to your life. Before I end this video, I just want to say this. If you've been watching a couple of my videos, you notice that I wear a yellow shirt. And so I have a video that explains why I wear a yellow shirt. And that video is called Young People Are the Light of the World. Young people are the light of the world. So I encourage you all, if you're new to my channel, to watch that video, and you all will learn the reason why I wear a yellow shirt. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and conclude my video by saying this. May God bless you, and may God keep you until we meet again.